Now in that video, the last one on this channel that I put up, I was shooting the regular old surplus tracers. And that was during daylight, and they were quite visible. And they came from Brian, and in that same box, he had sent some of these, the Streak visual ammunition. And I think it's funny, it says, immediately improve your accuracy. Well, they don't do that. It says on the box, for indoor range and nighttime shooting. I tell you, it's got to be really dark. When I first tried them, I tried some of these 45 in the Thompson at 100 yards. Now, it was a really overcast day, and I thought maybe they would show up. Nope, not a glimmer. So then after dark, I tried them in my Springfield. And you could see them. Well, okay, here's the problem. When you're shooting them, for you shooting them, there's such a muzzle blast. And then these ignite in the chamber. I mean, as soon as they go off, they're glowing. So when they come out, you get this muzzle blast and then the flash from the tracer. Well, they're not really tracers, but technically they're not. But you do not see the path of the bullet. You got that flash that completely whites that out. The only thing that you will see is if you have, like with the camera, if I set the camera about a foot to the side or above where I was shooting, then you would see the flash. And it had to be really dark. But they showed up pretty good on the camera. But like I say, for me shooting them, I didn't actually know they were even lighting up until I ran the videotape back. So they weren't doing me any good. As far as improving your accuracy, that wasn't going to happen. And every video I've seen where they're using those, it's just a random wild shooting kind of thing. That's the only thing they work for, really. Because in the first place, it's so dark, they have to be so dark that you cannot see your sights. I thought, okay, when I was trying the 9mm, I thought maybe the way it'd be an illuminated target. So I used a jack-o'-lantern. Well, for that I was using my Zastava M70A. That's a 9mm. It's the Tokarev design, but it's a 9mm. Well, the first time I shot him, the camera was a little bit too far to the side. So they didn't show up at all. Then I tried another magazine and got close to the camera, but there again, I couldn't see the result of these. It was in the camera, you could see, but again, big muzzle flash, completely obliterated any chance of seeing where the actual path of the bullet. So, They work, kinda, but they need really specific conditions. And the conditions that they work in are exactly conditions you really shouldn't be shooting in. Because like I said, it's got to be so dark. And then the only way it really works, and I tried some of these by just shooting down low. Well, then your eye is up high enough, the muzzle blast doesn't affect you, and you can see the path of the bullet. But it's a real iffy proposition. I mean, it's an interesting idea, and I'm sure people will buy them, but I think in all likelihood somebody who buys them is going to kind of be disappointed in them, because they aren't like a real tracer is. They're, like I say, they're interesting, but I don't know what they cost. Brian had just sent these, so I don't know but you're only getting 20 in a box. I don't know. I'm sure people are going to want to try them, but they're of limited practical use. I don't like the idea that they look, unless you look on the back and see where it says that the brand name Ammo Inc., they look exactly like a regular 9mm or a regular 45, full metal jacket. They function perfectly fine. I'll say that for them. That like these 45s I was shooting at 100 yards with a Thompson, they work just fine. But as regular ammunition, but the advantage of having them in theory glow, no, I didn't see it. I guess, if you were shooting wildly up in the air, it might work, but that's not advisable to do either. So the purpose for them kind of eludes me, because even like I say, if you use them in a darkened indoor range, it's not going to help you any. It's not going to make you more accurate. It might make, like I say, if you're shooting from the hip, kind of, if you got the gun down, because I do run into that problem when I switch back and forth from a 1911 to a Tokro design. That grip angle throws your instinct off. There's quite a little difference in the angle of the grips. So if you use one gun all the time, and you could practice, to know where to hold it, but in an indoor range you want to be shooting from the hip at a kind of a random, Where I see people using them is in the videos that I saw. They were shooting fully automatic, in an indoor range. And there was no accuracy involved here. These things were just flying all over the place, but at least you could see the red, But my theory is they won't be around for too long. So if you really have an interest in trying them, I would kind of do it pretty quickly, because an instance where they would work would be in a darkened room, just shooting like wild, which means somebody's going to end up using them in a movie theater, and then they will be immediately illegal. So I don't, or maybe in a bar or something, that's the kind of thing that they would, it's a situation where they might prove useful, but that's a sick usefulness, My thought on these, though, because just target shooting, it's a full power round, Brian had also sent me some of these that I played with before, that are those short range green. Now, if these people, they've got like a plastic bullet in them, and they're, 22. The problem with these is they won't cycle in an automatic. But if you could make something like this that would cycle in an automatic and would leave that red streak, just for recreational shooting, people might be interested in that. But I think you're going to get in trouble with these. I don't think that's the way to go. But I'm sure, people, it's a kind of a gimmick and it's the kind of thing that people jump on, So, yeah, I guess if that's your interest, but I don't see them lasting on the market for very long. Partly in that it has to be so ungodly dark that you can't see the target. If you, like I say, use an illuminated target, okay, it kind of works, but even then it doesn't help you in the aiming of the things. So that's my take on them. I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in them, but I think also a lot of people would be disappointed in them because they aren't like a regular tracer. I'm surprised they actually even bothered making them. But like I say, if they were to make them in a 22 short range that would cycle in like a 1022, you might have something that people could play with. But you really shouldn't be playing with any kind of firearm. But especially not like a 9mm. And they talk of making, so somebody's going to end up with, they're going to make other calibers, so somebody's going to end up with some assault type weapon shooting tracers shooting up a movie theater.